Hey, this is Dan at Studio Blue. This is Pilates All Levels. Only optional props are 2-pound weights or soup cans or anything that's just kind of light and equal size and shape. If anything doesn't feel good in your body, especially joint tension, right? Neck, shoulders, hips, knees, don't push through that kind of bad pain. Muscle fatigue, totally okay to push through, right? So all that said, we're going to start on hands and knees and just mobilize the spine, the ribs, and then we'll start to go into some core work. To start, so fingers spread, knees under hips, hands under shoulders. And just start by curling the tail, rounding the spine up, lifting up through the waistline. And then keep a sense of the waistline lifting as you open the chest and slide the shoulder blades down. Tail feathers are going to lift a bit, eyes come forward. And then again, curl the tailbone around your spine up. Feel some weight in your shins and even the tops of the feet. And as you inhale, open the chest, slide the shoulders down, lift the tail. And then find a place in the middle. So find your neutral or flat back. Narrow the knees slightly. And as you exhale, reach the right leg out. And as it lifts up, just come up about hip height. Checking that there's no sway into the hips. You feel the back side of the right glutes activating in the front of the hip opening, and then lower that leg down and in. And then left leg reaches back and up. Front of the hip opens, back of the hip fires, waistline stays in. Inhale down and in. So take a couple more on each side, and we're using this as a way to start to actively open up the hips, fire up the glutes, and just warm up our joints in general. One more to the left. Good. And then again, round the spine like a cat, dropping the chin, curling the tail, lifting the belly. One last time, open the chest. Shoulders glide down, tailbone lifts. Find the place in the middle, look to the right, wag your tail to the right. Yeah, as you inhale, come through center. And then exhale, look to the left and wag your tail to the left. Yeah, so a couple more each side. Checking in that you're not swaying, but you're finding this side bend in the pelvis and also in the rib cage. Last one to the left. And then find center, feet together, knees open, push back, child's pose. Arms forward, hips back, head heavy. Couple deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And checking in, how does everything feel at the beginning of the hour? The hips, the back, the shoulders. Allow the head to be heavy. And as you exhale, roll yourself up. Let the head come up last. Nicely done. And we're going to make our way down to our back. All right, so knees bent, feet flat. Pelvis neutral, lower back neutral. And then hands together behind the head, elbows slightly up into your peripheral vision. So the shoulder blades start to widen. And then as you exhale, nod the chin, curl the head and the chest up. And really feel for sinking into the front of the breastbone. Inhale, lower the chest and the head down. Right, just a basic chest lift or ab curl. We exhale, curl up. Check in that the hips are pretty soft and then inhale to take it down. Couple more. So the ribs starting to glide down, so you're connecting into your obliques as well as your deep abs, your six-pack abs, your pelvic floor. Everything's working here. Last one like this. Nodding, curling, hold at the top. Take one hand, right, kind of a karate chop hand. Take the thumb to your breastbone. Right? Take a breath in. And as you exhale, see if you can curl a little higher by folding into where that hand is. So you're going to feel your shoulder blades lift just a little bit. As you inhale, take it down maybe 1 inch, maybe 2. Exhale, curl up right from where your thumb is. Inhale, take it down, and then try with both hands behind the head. So folding into the upper rib cage without overly moving the lower back and without lifting the head out of the hands. One more time. curl up, imprint the lower spine, bring one leg at a time, tabletop, grab the back of the thighs, just kind of wiggle off your shoulders a little bit. Again, you can use it as a way to mobilize that upper spine as well. And then elbows pretty wide, take a big breath in. Exhale slowly, slower you go, the harder it is for the abs. We take the hands around and back to the head. Right, stay there, exhale, right heel towards the floor. Inhale up, left heel towards the floor. Inhale up. Now you can also do this with the arms forward, which will decrease some of the work on the upper abs, right? You can do this with the head on the ground if that feels a little more supported for the neck. Or head on the ground with the arms lifted to offload any kind of shoulder or neck tension. But just take your time and really think of moving from your core. Last one to the left. And then hug both knees into your chest. Roll the hips gently from side to side. Inhaling, exhaling. Lovely. And then settle the feet to the floor one at a time. Knees bent, feet flat. Arms rest by your side. And as you exhale, curl the tail. Slowly start to roll your hips to the sky. So one vertebra at a time. Now feel weight into the feet, especially the heels. First ball of the foot, last ball of the foot. Think of the knees stretching forward. The ribs are heavy. Take an inhale. And then exhale, slowly start to roll down. Upper spine, middle spine, lower spine. Pelvis opens to neutral. And again, inhale to bottom, exhale, curl, roll up. Yep. Back of the hips are on, front of the hips are opening. And again, bring it down. It's nice and slow. And the next time we lift up, let's stay lifted at the top, curling, rolling up. And there's a sense of the knees reaching forward, the heels pulling towards your shoulders. And then make sure the hips are even. Lean into the left leg, the right leg is going to float up, tabletop. So the hips are square. As we inhale, we're going to tap that right heel towards the floor. Exhale to lift up and inhale to tap. So really starting to feel some work behind those left glutes. Now this can also be done with the toes still on the ground, and we're just dropping the heel and lifting. So most of my weight is going into this left leg. All right. Last one, right foot to the ground, hold. Keep some weight in that leg, and then left leg floats up. We inhale to tap down. Exhale to lift, just hinging into that left hip. Again, option to keep toes on the ground. Make sure the ribs, right, they're pretty heavy. We're not overly arched through the middle back or the lower back. A really nice line from the shoulders to hips to knee. Back of the arms pretty heavy to the ground. So the collarbones are opening, last two. And last one, both feet heavy. Take an inhale, lift the hips a little bit higher. And then as you exhale, take the arms to the sky. And as you roll down, reach your arms overhead. Upper, middle, lower back. Hands together behind the head as the pelvis touches down, elbows into your peripheral vision. Imprint the lower spine. Float the legs up one at a time. Curl the chest up. So take an inhale, use that breath to really open the back of the rib cage. Exhale, right leg reaches forward. Feet stay about the same height. Inhale, bend in. Exhale, left leg reaches forward. Belly stays in. Inhale, back. So really take your time and use your breath. Now this can always be heel taps if you want to peel it back. If you want to advance, maybe both legs reach to a high diagonal and then you bend back in, right? And that high diagonal, right, it can be on the higher front like that, or it can be about 45 degrees. right? Or a combination of both. And if you're doing both legs, or rather if you're doing one leg at a time, just make sure you finish with your left so you're even. And then lower the chest, lower the head, hug the knees into the body. Again, maybe take a little rock and roll from side to side. Do we feel our abs? Okay, sweet. Me too. All right. So legs tabletop, feet flex, heels together, the toes and knees turn out. So it's a little hard to see on the screen, but my knees are open, kind of in a frog position. My lower spine is imprinted. And then as I exhale, I'm going to try to take my heels straight to the sky. And I want to start to feel inner thigh, inner quad, and stomach. And then inhale, bend the knees back open, pulling the heels down. Then exhale, heels reach up, feet stay flexed. You're also going to feel a nice active stretch into the back of the legs. Inhale, bend the knees open. Now, if we want to make this a little more involved for upper and middle abs, lift the head and the chest. Right, and the head can be supported on this. We inhale, bend the knees open. Exhale, reach, thighs to the sky. Inhale, bend. Exhale, reach. Nice. Inhale, bend. So finding that hip mobility as well. And reach. Last two. And last one. Bend the knees, lower the head. And send the left leg all the way down to the ground. Keep the right leg hugging into your body for a moment. Feel the back of the left thigh pressing into the ground. And as this right leg hugs in, just notice if the hip wants to hike up and just kind of imagine it or feel it reaching down. So instead of the pelvis hiking, we're finding that movement through the hip joint. Open the right arm, take that right leg over the body for a twist. Okay, and just be gentle, be easy on this. Some weight in the back of the shoulder, stretch into the outer hip, lower back, really everything. It's kind of a full body stretch. Now maybe, right, I have a wall here, so I'm gonna lose a little bit of my room, but maybe you extend the leg, so the leg is straight, the foot's on the floor, and you're gonna get a little bit more stretch down the outer hip and the outer thigh. Right? And especially if you did a lot of legs yesterday, like I did, I feel a really big glute stretch. Now bend the knee and rotate back to center. Right leg to the ground, left leg into your chest. And to start, just feel the back of the thigh pretty heavy into the ground. So the front of the hip is starting to open. Left leg drawing in. Inhale, bring that leg across. Open the left arm, turn the palm up. Again, just breathing into this. If you want to play around, maybe that top leg, right? Maybe it just extends. I'm still trying to keep my foot pretty heavy to the ground. So opening up a little bit more of the outer hamstrings, outer thigh line. And just breathing into it. Bending in as we exhale, we'll come back to center. Hug both knees into the body. And then you can grab the front of the shins if you want to make this harder, or the back of the thighs. You'll nod the chin, push the legs into the hands, roll yourself up to seated, right? So if you have the light weights, right, we can use them, or soup cans or whatever it may be. The legs are going to straighten out in front of us, right? So the weights will provide a little bit of help for the roll up. It'll also provide some work for the shoulders. So the arms are going to go out in front, and we're just going to sit nice and tall. So again, if the legs are a little tight, feel free to bend those knees a bit. Imagine you could really lengthen up through the crown of the head, shoulders soften back, and then we curl the tail and start to roll down. And we're going to try to keep the weights shoulder height and arms parallel the floor the whole time. So once your head touches, arms to the sky, they start to reach back, shoulders melt down out of the ears. Try not to touch the floor. You're going to feel a stretch under the armpit. Inhale, lift the arms, the head and the chest start to curl up. And again, those arms are going to stay about parallel to the floor the whole time. This time we're going to stretch forward at the top, shoulders melting out of ears. And then curl, roll it back. Yep. Head touches the floor. Arms start to come up to the sky. Feel the weight in the rib cage. So as the arms go back, keep that contact of the ribs to the ground. Inhale, arms, head, and chest, lift. Exhale. Waistline draws in. Nice. Take a little stretch forward. And then again, curl it back. Your time, your pace at this point. Yeah, just keep thinking of the shoulders, staying easy. Good. Thighs zipping together. Lovely. Last one. Take it back. Arms up and over. Arms lift, head and chest follow. Roll up, stretch forward. And this time as we curl back, we're only going to go back maybe a quarter of the way or a third of the way. So the lower spine is rounded, the ribs are in, the chin's lifted slightly, right? And really light grip on the weight, shoulder soft. Exhale, the right arm starts to lift. So you're going to feel the top of the shoulder and the abdominals. Inhale, that right arm lowers. And then exhale, the left arm lifts. All right, inhale to lower. As the arm goes up, feel that shoulder blade dropping and widening on the ribs. All right, and let your shoulders work, but try to relax your neck. Yeah. And then maybe, right, if you want more core work, maybe both arms lift. No change to the rib line or the waistline. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale down. Exhale up. And see if you can feel some work underneath the tips of your shoulder blades. Right, so they're kind of hugging onto the rib cage, rotating and dropping. Last one. Now the arms can lift a bit. Hold, take an inhale. Exhale, try to roll down with the arms a little bit lifted. You're going to feel more waistline as you come down. Head to the floor, and then the arms will reach overhead. And again, inhale, arms, head, chest. Last time we roll up. Maybe the arms are a little higher on that roll up. And then stretch forward, taking your weights or soup cans off to the side. And just relaxing here. Heavy head, find that stretch in the back line of the legs and your back body, back of the spine. And then start to restack. And we're going to come on to the hands and knees facing forward. So this can be done with or without the weight. So I'm going to grab one weight in my right hand. My left arm is rooting down. Now, if your wrist starts to feel a little tense on this, your left arm can be a bit forward of the body, as long as your shoulder stays down and out of the ears, right? That's A-okay. Your right palm is going to come to your chest, and we're just going to gently roll that shoulder out of the ear. Now, as I exhale, I'm going to try to reach my right arm out to the side, about shoulder height and in line with the shoulder, right? So hand in line with shoulder. Inhale, bend the arm, taking the palm back to the chest. Exhale, I reach out, palm faces down. Inhale, I bend in, palm to chest. And what you want to start to feel is the back side of the shoulder and the inside of the shoulder blade. How are we feeling that? Oh, yeah. Right? And again, just find that work in the back of the shoulder blade without necessarily feeling like you're just jamming the shoulder blade down. But there's a sense of ease, right? It's not lifting, it's not being overly jammed down. And if you want to challenge your balance, maybe the left leg reaches back, toes can be on the ground or lift, waistline stays in. Inhale to bend, exhale to reach. So now the glute line is involved a little bit more, the whole back line of the spine and our core. Last two. Last one. Hold that arm out. Ease into the shoulder for 5, 4, 3, 2, rest. Weight comes down, round the spine or take child's pose, your choice. Open the chest to neutral. We'll come back onto the hands if you chose child's pose. And set the shoulder, set your waistline. Left hand can grab onto your weight. Again, make sure it's fairly light. Palm to your chest. And then as you exhale, you reach that arm out to the side. Inhale, bend in. Right now, if shoulder height doesn't feel quite so hot in the shoulder, you can also reach this at a low diagonal towards where the ground, right, and the closest wall to you meet. So main focus, right, posterior deltoid, the back of the shoulder, and the inside border of your shoulder blade. And these muscles in particular are really good for pulling us out of our phones and our computers. And trick with your smartphone if you're texting on it or looking at it all the time, which, let's face it, we all are probably. If you hold it up in front of you like you're going to take a selfie, it'll keep your neck in a little bit of a better position. Now, if you want to add balance to this, right leg reaches out, glutes on, tummy in, inhale, bend, exhale, reach. Inhale, bend, exhale, reach. And it's always a little surprising how quickly these muscles back here fatigue, right? So again, staying easy in the neck, strong in the back of the shoulder, strong in the core. Last two. Right, and this can all be done without a weight as well. Last one, hold. Take one extra breath, and lower everything down. And we'll all take child's pose. Arms can stretch out in front, feet together, knees open. Find that nice stretch. I'm going to turn our tunes back on here at the studio. Keep breathing. So allow everything in the back of the body to relax. Good. Just take one more full breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Good. And then rise up, and we are going to come onto our side. So, right, have your weights or soup cans just fairly close by, so you can grab them fairly easily. Pick a side, any side. Okay. As long as you can see me. So, nothing new on this yet, but feet in line with hips, knees a little forward, right? And we're resting down either on a pillow, right? A long arm, a bent arm. Top hand to the hip, right? Let this hip lift a little. So feel it kind of hike up, and then very gently just reach it down a bit. So you want to feel a sense of lift under the lower waistline and rib line. Lift the top knee up and open, flex that top foot, and push it down a little. And as that heel pushes down and the knee goes up, if you feel the backside of the glutes, you should feel some tone there. All right, inhale to lower, exhale to lift. And even though I'm not using a band today, if you had a band, if you wanted to make this harder, you could put a band around your thighs. It would increase the work, right? Inhale down, exhale up. Yeah, weight would do the trick as well. Totally. I'm just making sure we're pretty neutral, not overly rounded or arched in the spine. Couple more like this. And if you feel more glute engagement with your toes still together, go for it, right? Last one. Good. And then find center, lifting thigh, knee, and foot. So about parallel to the floor, hip height. We're going to push that leg back in space slightly. So the knee is still bent about 90 degrees. The front of the hip is just going to open a little more. And as we exhale, we're going to rotate the thigh in. So right, the foot goes to the sky with that thigh bones rotating inward. Back to center as you inhale. And then exhale, rotate the thigh in. So the foot goes up, and you should feel some deep work in the side of the glutes. Inhale, center. Exhale to rotate. Inhale, center. Exhale, rotate. Center. Rotate. Two more. So internal rotators are working. Last one. And lower everything down. Just roll out or rub out the side of the glutes a bit. So this next one we can do with, again, small weight, or no weight at all. This would still work. My elbow is 90 degrees, right? So hard to see on camera, but it's 90 degrees. And your elbow, it's really easy for it to just rest on your body. But if you had a pillow, you could use a pillow, but we're gonna try to just float it up just an inch or so, so it's in line with the center of our shoulder joint. I'm gonna gently set the shoulder out of the ear, and I'm gonna rotate my knuckles back slightly, right? Don't force this one. And then slowly rotate now the hand towards your chest. So I'm rotating, right? Hand back slightly and rotating down. And what you want to feel is the back side of your shoulder blade and the back side of your shoulder. Now, the range of motion from me to you, from all of us here, is going to look really different, right? In general, you're not going to go too far past 45 degrees or so. So just keep that in mind. Not forcing it, but do we feel this? Oh, yeah. And if I didn't use any weight at all, I still feel it like crazy. Just the weight of my arm in this position. Yeah, totally. Last two. And you've probably done this with the band where we're doing this motion, same thing. We're just in a different plane of space. Last one. And then let your weight or soup can come down if you're using one. Yeah, and just kind of roll out that shoulder a bit. You can let it come up, back, and down. Yeah. So the whole back side of the shoulder blade complex working. Oh, yeah. So we're going to come up onto our bottom forearm. Yep. And then the lower ribs are going to lift as that forearm pushes down. So this is one place to stay for forearm side plank. Another place we can lift the hips. So we've just loaded into the bottom shoulder, the rib line, and the glute line. Maybe the top arm goes up, right? If it's tired because we've been doing all this arm work, it can always come down. Now the top leg can go forward slightly, foot pointed, and the whole sole of the foot to the ground. So the foot's getting a little bit of a stretch. Again, you can stay here, or maybe that bottom leg slides back. It's behind my top leg. I scissor the thighs in a bit, so my inner thigh muscles are working, glutes are working, and this is just up leveled it a little bit. And we're just holding here for another 5, 4. Eyes can always come to the sky if the neck feels tense. And then we'll come down the same way we came up. Good. And then we'll sit up nice and tall and switch sides. Lovely. If you used a weight or soup can on that last one, just grab one, have it close by, and then come all the way down. So hips stacked, feet in line with the sit bones, head relaxed. Let this top hip hike up a little and then reach it on down. Find some length. Lift the top knee. Flex the foot and just for a moment, push that heel downward as the knee and the thigh bone's trying to rotate upward. So the back of the glutes are on. We inhale, take that knee down. And then exhale, rotate thigh bone in the pelvis, right? So your external rotation. And same thing, right? If you used a weight on your thigh before, A-okay, a band, A-okay, if you want to up level. Right, my legs are pretty sore today, so I'm not going to use a lot of extra weight. And just remember, right? It's not a, how am I going to say this? Your muscles need time to recover as well. So, opting to lower down or not choose the harder version doesn't mean you're weak or anything like that, right? Sometimes our muscles literally just need recovery. Like mine do today. All right, and just check in, do we feel our glutes? Sweet. And as always, just make sure the hip isn't rolling backwards, right? Everything's staying stacked. Last 2. And last 1. All right, we'll lower down. The thigh, the knee, the shin, right? Everything comes up, hip height, parallel to the floor. We're gonna reach that leg back slightly. The knee stays 90 degrees. We've just opened up the hip a little. And then we rotate the thigh in. Try not to let the knee dip down as you rotate. Inhale back to center. And then again, exhale, rotate the thigh in. So the foot goes to the sky. Exactly. I'm still thinking a bit of, a little bit of the waistline drawing in, Shoulders are easy. Yep. And this should be deep in the side of the hips, deep in the side of the glutes. And as always, we will have a lot of glute work today. Last one. And lowering back, you can just roll out or rub out that hip a little bit. And then again, if you used a weight before or a soup can, you can, right? So elbow about 90 degrees, right? In line with the shoulder joint. So not just on the ground, on the side of the waist, but a little bit lifted. You're gonna rotate up slightly. Again, don't force this one. And then drop the hand down toward your stomach. So there's your internal rotation. And then here's our external rotation. So again, it can be done with or without weight. Feeling the back side of the shoulder and the back side of the shoulder blade. So all these are these two specific rotator cuff muscles that are going to help externally rotate the shoulder. Yeah. You got it. Inhaling down, exhaling to rotate. Last 3. 2. And last one. Good, lowering that down, weight or can to the floor, and just rolling out that top shoulder. Just a couple big circles. Good. And then we'll prop ourselves up onto our bottom forearm. So lower ribs are lifting, forearms pushing down. Right? We stay here or hips lift. So now the lower waistline's a little more engaged, the lower hip line is engaged. Maybe the top leg forward, toes forward. Maybe top arm to the sky. And then fully advancing, maybe that bottom leg sweeps back, hugging the thighs in, and we're in our full forearm side plank. Shoulders still working quite a bit on this lower rib line. Eyes can be towards me or towards your bottom arm. Last 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to come down the same way that we came up. Press yourself up to seated. Nicely done. So we're going to come up towards one end of the mat. And I'm just going to take these props off to the side for now. And once we're at one end of the mat, we're going to come down onto our forearms. So elbows under shoulders, hands can be together or apart. Shoulders melting out of the ears. Inner elbows hug in. Let the head relax down a little bit. Yep. And then root down into that right leg. Reach the left leg back and up. Hold. So if your hands are separated, right, there's the sense of the hands or the knuckles pushing outward, the forearms pushing down, and the inner elbow hugging in. And you should still feel some work at the back side of the shoulder and shoulder blade. Now lower waistlines in, maybe lift that leg a little higher from the center of the glute. And then inhale, lower the leg down, bend it in. Exhale, push back and up. Down and in. And back and up. Hands can be together if you want a little more neck support. Separated for more shoulder work. And keep feeling that lift from the center line of the hip. Lower ribs staying lifted and connected. And outer hips working here too. So that standing leg, that right leg, it's still working. Everything's nice and square. Last 2. Last 1, reach up and hold. Back leg pointed. Hello glutes, hello hamstrings. We're going to take that leg, keeping the foot pointed. We're just going to drop it down a little, out to the side, up, in slightly, back to where we started, and then reverse. We go in, up, out a little, down, find your center, and again, reverse. So circles, definitely working through the glutes, but also starting to find some of the inner thighs, the hamstrings. And as you reach outward, the standing leg and the core has to stabilize a little more. As you reach inward, the inner thighs have to kick in a little bit more. Keep checking in with the neck. Make sure, right, head's not overly tensing, neck's not overly tensing. And end, right, once you start to go in, out, around, and down, let that be your last side. And you can take child's pose or cat stretch, coming onto the hands, round the spine. Let everything be heavy. Take a couple breaths. Good. Come back to up or down to the forearms. Set your shoulders, right? Forearms rooting down. Inner elbows hugging in like you're hugging a block. Hands apart or together. Left leg stays still. It's right under that hip. Right leg, reach it out and up, pause. So just get organized here for a moment. Make sure your waistline's still long, your hips are still square. Maybe that back leg lifts just a little higher. So feel the center of the glute line turning on, the front of the hip opening, and then bend that leg down and in. As we inhale, exhale, reach back and up. Inhale down and in. And exhale back and up. Good. Just try to keep the movement smooth. Keep rooting into your bottom leg. Keep allowing your neck to angle slightly downward so it's following the line of your upper back, right? And it's really natural to want to kind of see what's going on. So if you look forward, just, look forward for a moment and then bring the head back into alignment. Good. Couple more. How's this feeling? Oh yeah, me too. We have some oofs in here. Glutes are tired today. Last one, reach back and up, pause. Back foot's pointed, lower rib line in. We're gonna take that leg out slightly, down a little, in a little, and back to where you started, and then reverse. Just keep reversing every circle. Make sure there's a down element, an in and up and an out. So it's working the hip in a circular motion. All the muscles around the thigh bone have to turn on. Core is active. Keep breathing. Keep reversing those circles. Every full circle we reverse. And one more to the in, or last one rather, once you do the in, around, and back to where you started, rest. All right, feet together, knees open. Let's all take a child's pose. Walk the arms over to one side and just reach out to that outer arm. And take a couple of really big breaths into the side of the rib cage. So that side you feel stretching, imagine if there's a balloon in that side. As you breathe in slowly, let that balloon inflate. Hold for a moment, relaxing the neck. And then as you exhale, just gently let that balloon deflate. And again, breathing in. And breathing out. And walk the arms over to the other side. Nice stretch from the armpit down to the hip. Right, that balloon is switched lungs. Breathing in. Holding at the top, relaxing any neck tension. And breathing out. And make your way back to center and onto your belly. So the weights are going to be optional on this. So you can set them up kind of past middle towards your feet. So you can always grab these with your hands. I'll demo them. My arms are also incredibly sore today. So I'll demo a couple with the weight and then I'm going to use my own body weight, which will be just fine for today. So for now, the hands are in front of the shoulders. The elbows are just somewhere wide and the nose is about an inch off the ground. Legs as wide as you need them for your back to feel relaxed. Pubic bone heavy, low tummy lifts. Knees heavy as well. As you inhale, start to set the shoulders down and out of the ears. The head starts to peel up. Now our elbows are going to stay really heavy. It's really just articulating upper spine, middle spine, holding. Keep your low tummy lifting. Pubic bone heavy, so the back of the glutes are on in the background. And then exhale, take it down slowly. Shoulders start to relax forward. And again, inhale, we start to peel up, the shoulder blades react. They start to drop down a bit. They start to draw in a bit. Waistline stays lifted. Neck following the line of the upper back. And then exhale, take it down. One more like this. Setting the shoulders as we lift, they start to drop and draw in. Hold and breathe at the top. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more breath. And lower everything down. So on this next one, we can grab the weights if we want them. And I'm gonna hold on so they're kind of standing up on end. My palms are facing in and my thumbs are facing downward, right? My arms are gonna come fairly close to my body. Waistline's in, glutes set. I keep the weights heavy. I start to peel the chest up. So just about the base of the breastbone or even the center of the breastbone. It doesn't have to be very high. And then as I exhale, I can lift my right arm only. So I feel right the back of the shoulder, the back of the tricep. I can lower that arm and then exhale, set left shoulder, and then that arm can lift and then lower. So again, just make sure if you're doing this with the weight, you're not real high. So as the weight goes up, it's not just kind of overly working the lower back, but I feel my upper back, my middle back, back of the shoulder, and back of the arm. And just keep alternating arms, right? So I'm going to do this without the weight today. Yeah, a couple more on each side. Waistline still lifted, shoulders easy. One more to the left. And then let everything rest down. Hands under the shoulders, push back, child's pose, knees together to open up the back of the spine. Now arms can be forward or maybe your arms go behind you. Shoulders drop to the ground, heavy head, take a big inhale. And as you breathe in, imagine that you're not breathing into your stomach, but you're breathing into the side and back of the rib cage. On your next breath out, roll yourself up. Let your head come up last. Nicely done. All right, so props can come off to the side. All right, and we're gonna come up to kneeling into a low lunge. So right leg's gonna come forward, left leg will stay down. So my left knee is about underneath my hip, right knee over ankle, the knee is about 90 degrees. So you might not feel a ton of a stretch yet on this, right? So this is gonna be a little bit more for upper back rotation. So my left leg, my bottom leg is rooting downward. My tummy's drawing in. There's a sense of length through my tail, right? Fingertips can come to the breastbone. And as I exhale, this is where we're moving from. So the rib cage is going to start to rotate to the right. I'm rotating towards my front leg. And there's a sense of my right hip just staying heavy. Inhale back to center. Same direction. My left leg's rooting down as I rotate my rib cage. So it's upper back rotation. And do you start to feel stretch in the front of this hip and into the outer hip? Inhale to center, right? And again, exhaling to rotate. So upper spine muscles, middle spine muscles, obliques. Inhale back. One more time, exhaling to twist. Inhale back. And then you can step your front leg a little forward, right? Just inch it forward, maybe a foot length, half a foot length, and then start to let the pelvis and the body, right, everything comes forward, knee over ankle. Keep that sense of the waistline lifting, right? So my lower abs are in, my back glute is slightly on. And then hands are on the thigh, you can roll the shoulders out of the ears. And do you feel more of a stretch on the front of this hip? Nice. A way to increase the stretch, think of your back thigh bone and your front heel suctioning towards one another. And that's something, right? I won't see that happen, but you should feel a little bit more intensity, right? And that's where some of these subtleties really kind of make a difference. Right? Shoulders just nice and easy. Good. And then gently release that. So now the right leg is down, the left leg is forward, back knee about under the hip, front knee over ankle about 90 degrees. So again, in the start of this, you might not feel a ton of stretch in the hip just yet. Try to square the hips off just the best that, to your ability. Fingertips to the breastbone. Now that back thigh bone, it's rooting downward, and as you exhale, we're gonna spiral the ribs to the left. So I'm spiraling towards that front leg. Check that the hip didn't hike up. Inhale, come back to center. And then exhale to rotate. So I love this one for golfers, right? So you're opening up this back hip while you're finding rotation through your spine, especially your upper and your middle spine. It's also quite a bit of balance work. One more like this, rooting into that back leg. Inhale back to center. That front foot is just going to inchworm forward a bit, right? And then my spine, my pelvis, everything comes a bit forward. So my knees over my ankle, front of the hip, front of the right hip is stretching, little bit of work into that back glute. And then we're thinking back thigh and front heel are kind of suctioning towards one another. And I don't feel stretch too much until I put that energy in there. And it's like, bingo, hip stretch, ton of it. And it's nice because you can find it without overly rounding your lower back, right? There's a sense of some length here, but it can help keep the joints a little more neutral. Shoulders are just easy. One or two more breaths. Good. And then releasing that. And we can come into pigeon or figure four. So I'll demo pigeon first. So my hands are forward, right knee to my right hand. I kick my foot open to the other end of my mat. I send my left leg back. You don't get too concerned about your shin being parallel to the front edge. And if you kind of shift your hips from side to side, find a place that feels centered and where you start to feel a stretch in the side of your right hip. Now this can also be, you can be on your back figure four with right ankle crossed over left thigh, if this doesn't feel comfortable in your joints. We can come onto the forearms at any point. And really just start to kind of ease and settle into this. Notice if you're clenching your butt in this position, or your hips, the front of the hip crease, and see if you can just kind of relax into the muscles around that joint. Start to breathe into your stomach. So very non-traditional Pilates breath. But breathing into the belly as you inhale, and as you exhale, just letting the hips get heavy. Yeah. One more big inhale. A big exhale. You can rise up. Right, if you're on your back, you're just simply switching legs. Right, if we are in pigeon, hands and knees, left hand, or left knee rather, to the left hand, kick the foot open, send the right leg back. You can shift a little from side to side, find that place where you feel pretty centered. And then you can always, right, when you're ready, maybe come onto the forearms. So all of that glute work that we did, it's nice at the end to give it a little bit of a stretch. I prefer stretching towards the end of a workout after everything's really warmed up. Breathing into the stomach. Good. Couple more deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Last breath. And then rising up, hands and knees. We can tuck the toes, rise up through a down dog. Yeah, you might pedal the feet a little bit. And then eventually just walk into a forward fold. Soft knees, roll yourself up, head comes up last. And we'll come up to standing. And we're gonna basically pretend we're on like a tightrope. So one foot, doesn't matter which one, just one foot in front of the other. Right now, if this feels a little shaky, you can always take the feet wider, like hip distance. Otherwise, one foot in front of the other, shift some of your weight forward and then back and find the centers of your feet. And this will be done with a wall or a chair or a counter in front. Once you find the centers of your feet, just hold there, right? Knees straight but not locked. Waistline in, joints stacked. Maybe close your eyes. Stay easy in the shoulders. And you're going to start to feel your feet moving around a little, your lower leg bones moving a little bit. Open your eyes. Take your back leg forward. And again, just shift a bit forward and back until you find the centers of your feet, both feet. And just stack everything, ears over shoulders, shoulders over ribs, ribs over pelvis. Yeah, maybe close the eyes. And just notice if your weight starts to shift more on one foot than the other. Again, try to keep it pretty centered. Allow that movement in the feet and lower limbs to happen. Open your eyes if they're closed. Step the feet back to hip distance parallel. Take an inhale, get a little taller. Nod the chin as you exhale. And slowly start to roll down. Yeah, knees not locked. Heavy in the head, the arms. As you inhale, bend the knees a little more. As you exhale, root into the feet. Roll yourself up. Allow your head to come up last. And we'll end you here today. Thanks for joining. Nicely done.